Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today is the day we are going to start our transformation of the ranch truck, the 66 F100 that we scored out of an old junkyard in Oklahoma. We brought this thing back and we've been driving it around, resurrected it with the original engine and trans and all that stuff, but we've been just dealing with the woes of a totally worn out drivetrain and mechanical items on this truck, and it just needs maintenance. So I've been driving around, but the clutch is completely worn out and it's basically slipping. We've adjusted all the way out and it's slipping when you try and pull out on a hill. The engine is gutless and worn out, and among other things, and it's one of those things where I joked from the day we got it that we should just do a Cummins swap in it, and I just had enough and decided let's just do it. So we'll have our buddy Clint coming up north from Florida with all of the goods. He wheels and deals Cummins engines and transmissions and does a lot of swaps down there. He's going to come up and give us a hand, sell me some parts. And today's video, what we're going to work on is just getting this thing prepped. So we're going to pull the old engine and trans out, get everything out, and see what we are going to be dealing with fitting that engine into this truck. And then we're going to do some repairs and some following videos, and then eventually, hopefully after this short series of videos, we will be driving this thing around with a Cummins diesel in it and using it like a truck. So let's get started. All right, so got the engine and trans and inner fenders and all that nonsense out of here. Steve did the majority of the work, to be honest. Evan and I helped just with some of the disconnecting to make it a little quicker, but we got that. Once we got the engine slid out, it was pretty simple, honestly. Everything, especially with these 6 cylinders, everything's very accessible.
Yeah.
One nice thing on this truck versus I should take a step back. This is the same body style as the Big Red truck. So it is very similar, but the Big Red truck has different frame, cross members. Some of the stuff's a little different, but the cab and the engine base space is basically the same, so to speak. So on the Big Red truck, it had big giant cross members that were all like, that were all riveted in. So this has a bolt-in, which is sitting over there somewhere, trans cross member, which was nice. So Evan had taken the bolts out, and that went back behind there. This one does rivet in, but we're hoping that it will clear because it's lower or the same height as the main front cross member, which, you know, obviously we can't drop the engine below that.
That is a beefy. Was the Big Red truck that big?
Yeah, it's probably even thicker. It's probably the same, but it was thicker material. So that worked out really good. We got the front half of it. Since this was a long bed, it had the 2-piece drive shaft. We're going to convert this to a 1-piece drive shaft. The trans on the new engine and trans combo, it's going to be a little bit longer overall, so we'll be able to get rid of that little short guy, make a 1-piece drive shaft. So we kept the rear half on there just for now, just for measurements and stuff like that. So that's all figured out. The big thing we need to do next in the next video is take care of some rust repair. So we knew this truck had a little bit of rust when we got it. As I've been driving it, it's been having more things starting to fall apart that are rusty. So things rust as they sit, but then when you drive them rusty, they go bad even quicker. So the big thing is these trucks are very, very common here. The inner fenders right here, there's basically a doubled up bracket. There's like a, I don't know if it's a 14 gauge, it's a little less than 1/8 inch plate or boxed in section here that bolts to the firewall. Well, they then double it up with sheet metal over top of it, and the water runs down off of the hood and in between the hood and stuff, and sits water in here, and it gets in between these double layer of metal, rots it all out. So we're going to take care of fixing both of these. I am going to keep both inner fenders. The passenger side inner fender we may have to cut or notch or put a bubble in for the turbo on the Cummins diesel, but I want to still retain the inner fender. I think it would be cool on this one to try and make it look almost factory, so to speak. But I'm going to need to on both of these. That one's just as bad. You can see there, like
this one actually might be worse.
Fist size hole in there. Yeah, pretty bad. So we were gonna actually repair that before when the stock engine was in, and Steve started pulling it and then quickly realized you either need to have the engine off or the front end completely pulled off or pull the fenders. It was more involved than we wanted to deal with at that time. So now, while this is all apart, we're gonna deal with that. The other major thing that's a problem, and I already bought the parts to do it because we knew this was coming, the front cab mounts on these things rot out very badly. This truck is actually pretty quote-unquote clean overall, and even with it being in the climate it was in, it's totally rotted out there. And in fact, that side actually collapsed and the steering started to clunk on me, and I was like, that's weird. I wonder if something in the rag joint's bad. And we went to steer it the other day.
I wonder if it'll still do it.
Well, I'm sure when I was driving it in, you'll see it. It was ka-kunk. But it's like lifting the cab up and down because the cab's now sunken a little bit because of that cab mount being like that. So I got replacing ones. They actually are really big. There's a flanged area here, and it goes all the way out to here and goes down. So this whole big piece is all the cab mount. So we're gonna drill out the spot welds in the next video, take the cab nuts out, get them welded in. I'm sure we're gonna have to do a little bit of patchwork underneath of them that's gonna have some rust in it. The nice thing with this truck is we're doing this very like low buck basic, the opposite of how I'm normally doing some of my own personal cars, where I'm fabricating the stuff like perfectly, you know, trying to keep it exactly like it was original or close to it, trying to overdo with how fancy it might look or overthink it. Like I bought patch panels off the shelf. We're gonna spot weld them back in place. We're just gonna make some little pieces of patches in behind there that need it. We're gonna just patch these pieces with just some plain metal and weld them in. Probably gonna use the MIG welder for a bunch of this.
Zip zap.
Trying to be quick and simple on this one. So that's what we have planned for this. Then once we get past all of that major repair, then we will hopefully be ready to start putting the engine in. So we have a little bit of a time crunch because Quinn is coming next week, and we want to try and be as prepared as possible. The other thing we have here, Steve's going to work on, is we have this kit. This is the Clutch Master kit. Quinn turned us onto this. It's really nice. It's a complete kit that's pre-bled with the slave and the master all together as one. We use this on the Big Red truck and also on our buddy Dan's truck. They use the same thing, and it's really nice because you don't have to bleed it. One less thing to like have a headache of trying to bleed the
Fabricate
clutch.
lines, bleed it all.
It's all done. Basically what we're gonna have to do is just we're gonna have to fabricate a plate, doubler plate, and maybe move some of the flange for where the brake master is.
That is a beefy flange, holy cow.
So we're gonna have to move that around, but then basically this is our clutch master here, and it has a reservoir on it. So we're basically just gonna put this wherever it works, but it's simple because it's just 2 bolts. So we can just squeeze it in there with a little bit of, some sort of plate we'll weld in there to make it so that it's sturdy. But it comes with its own push rod and everything. So we basically just modify this end to go onto the pedal, and bing, bang, boom, that's it.
The Big Red truck was actually stamped for a master already, right? There was already a hole.
It was, but it was still kind of tight, and we had to grind some stuff a little bit. This one's a little, not stamped, but it's basically the same firewall, so it's just they didn't pre-punch the hole on this or drill the pedal, but it's still basically the same pedals and firewall. So we just have to put the stuff there, but it's going to be very similar. May go take a peek at the Big Red truck to see how
take some measurements.
Just see how we did it on the Big Red truck, because it works great on it, so we know that it's proven. So that's what we have planned. Pulled an engine and made a mess, and now hopefully we can start fixing stuff and getting this thing going the other direction to be a very reliable, usable truck. Which
I'm excited to drive this thing with a diesel.
I'm super stoked to get this thing, just start using it as a truck. So this is the start. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you stick around for the rest of this short series on the ranch truck. Thanks guys. Catch you later.